I'm delivering a keynote this week about how to stop following and start leading. The 5 steps to shift your mindset to allow you to do that. If you want to get the nuggets as if you're in that room, don't go anywhere. Welcome back to season 2 of Leading Intentionally, where we dive deep into the core of what it takes to lead with purpose, passion, and presence. I'm your host, Carmen Paredes, and in this season, we are exploring 3 transformative themes: enduring mindset, exceptional leadership, and empowering your essence. This season, we are on a journey to uncover the mental fortitude required to endure through challenges while maintaining a vision for success. We'll decode the elements that elevate leaders from great to exceptional, those qualities that inspire, motivate, and create lasting impact. And we're embracing the power of authenticity, learning to own your essence in a way that empowers yourself and others. In each episode, we'll share insights, stories, and practical tips to help you transform your leadership style and thrive in both your personal and professional life. So whether you are leading a team, managing a project, or steering your own career, get ready to elevate your approach and lead intentional. Let's get started. Welcome back. I thought it would be important to start this episode by defining what is leadership, right? Because leadership isn't just about the title. You can be a manager, senior manager, director, VP, C-level, whatever. But that's not what leadership is. It's really when you start taking ownerships of the responsibility that you have and that the influence that you have on other people's life, that you can call yourself a leader. Now, you might have got yourself into a corner office or into a title that perhaps makes you feel like you are a leader, but you are still following poor examples, poor basic human interactions. And you haven't really stepped into what leadership means. You haven't stepped into the driver's seat of your story and haven't really comprehended that you have so much power into shaping the story of those that you lead. I think leadership is about refusing to let the circumstances around you or other people dictate how you are going to take ownership of your actions. Now, how do you go from following to leading? In my mind, is really all about a shift that I have defined it in a framework, and it was born out of my own journey. One of the stories I like to share during this particular keynote is the plethora of rejections I have to face one time, like rejection after rejection after rejection. And how, by the way, that is one of my biggest triggers, rejection. So it was obviously happening for a reason. It was happening to create a change in me. But it was the collection of the personal setbacks, unmanageable challenges that helped me understand that evolution and success comes from taking these things that most people try to survive to the catapult, the leverage to actually thrive through them. My left brain wanted to make it into a system so I could replicate it and I could teach it at that time, not to clients like you, but to my team. Because as a leader, I understood my responsibility with their growth and success. And so I made it into a framework that I call SHIFT. And this mindset for me is a foundation of what leadership is. And it goes along with everything else I teach, including leadership from within. Because it's the way we think that determines how we act and how we respond to challenges. So Let's talk about what are these steps that I have made into a framework. And obviously, for sake of time, I'm just going to mention them really quickly. If you want more information about them, I have a full keynote. I provide workshops, and of course, I teach it to my leadership clients one-on-one. So the first step in the framework is to be able to see the S for shift, is to be able to see the obstacles clearly. So what I have found is that most of the times we like to pretend, one, that the obstacles are not even there, so I'm going to look the other way and hope that they're going to go away. Or we simply shut down immediately and assume that we don't have the tools, we don't have the resources, the capability, the creativity, the innovation, the passion to solve them. But you can't fix what you don't acknowledge. So the first thing in the process is to sit down and look at what's happening and ask yourself the hard questions. Instead of going into the victim mode, it's like, why is it happening to me? You need to go into the hardcore mode. Look at your steps, at your approach, at your strategy, and break it down into what's not working and re-engineer what you're doing so you can get different results. The second step is to harness your resources. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about internal and external resources, right? We tend to forget how strong we are. Like, I look back into my life and I remind myself of every time I thought I was going to die, but I didn't. And believe it or not, there's a lot of times because we catastrophize everything, right? Like, we have a very big problem and we think it's the end. You know, you're going to lose your job. You're not going to get that promotion. You're probably not going to get that bonus. You might get fired, or your partner is going to leave you, or something horrible is going to happen. And it never does. Most of the times doesn't happen as bad as we make it to be. But then we also underestimate the resources we have externally. And every time I have gone to a hard time, I have learned to lean on mentors, coaches, friends, peers, colleagues, and I devour information, podcasts, books, courses. Someone else already went through this. I can add my own twist with the information that I have that they don't, but I don't need to invent the wheel if someone else already has figured out how to make this work. The third thing I want to point out to you is that because we are creatures of habits, we tend to avoid like the plague to make changes, to make tweaks to our approach. But the reality is that many times what has worked in the past, not necessarily is going to work in the future. So we're stuck using the wrong screwdriver because we haven't taken the time to get a little courageous, ask the right questions, understand that there's other tools in the toolbox that we can use to break through this one problem. When you decide to use a different set of skills when it comes to your leadership approach, maybe it's time to start combining personal empathy and compassion with your team, or take that bold move that you have been hesitating to take. See, what makes me different than other leadership coaches, keynote speakers, or workshops, presenters, and facilitators is that I not only have over 20 years of leadership experience, I also was able to make it to the top in a male-dominated industry without any privileges before DEI was a thing. But I have a very strong side of me that has always believed in personal development. And together, I bring compassion, empathy, and real results to the table. It's not one or the other that helped me create the most successful teams in all the companies I work for. It was the combination of them, and being able to put it together, replicate it, and teach it to leaders like you is what is helping me make my ripple effect in the world. And then there's something called determination. I believe it's my life work to inspire people to keep going. I know so because my life has been always difficult. In fact, the earliest memory that I have is that I was fighting for my life before I knew it inside my mom's womb. And so it's not a surprise that these crazy things happen to me, but I always have figured out a way to get through it. And it wasn't until I realized that that's what I'm here to do, to teach you how to overcome whatever comes your way, that everything started making sense for me. And so, with that in mind, determination is the gift I have that helps me get through the inertia of the comfort zone. Determination is connected to your purpose, and it's when you take actions that actually self inspire itself and it lights the fire that you have within so you can keep going regardless. Determination is what takes to climb Everest. Determination is what takes to become the first Latina vice president at the largest telecommunications company in Alaska, which is what I did. Determination is what it takes to keep going after 100 rejections. I'm not the only person in this planet that have determination, but I'm here to teach you how to install this software in your DNA. And then this is like the hardest thing, at least it was for me, which was to trust the timing. And this is funny because when I was younger, way younger, I'm talking like 30 years ago, my best friends and I, when we were in engineering school, always used to joke saying that I didn't make it to the line where God was distributing patience. I went double deep in my left brain capabilities, but totally skipped the patient line. And you know what's funny is throughout the years, as I study so much in personal development and I learned so much about myself, they were absolutely right. Patience was something I had to develop. But because I didn't have patience, I always wanted to be controlling everything. And when you are in the control freaking mode, you are surviving. And when you are surviving, you can't thrive. When you can develop trust in timing, also known as patience, and in the meantime, you get ready for when that opportunity knocks your door, that's when you knock it out of the ballpark. So instead, let's pretend, go back to corporate, that you are so eager to make it to the corner office, so eager to become that leader that you've dreamed about being, so eager to have those letters that give you recognition, around your name, BP, CXX, whatever. And you are impatient that you start getting bitter with the process, with the timing, with the people around you, because you default to the victim mode. But if instead you're just getting ready, you're just doing the best you can in the position you are, that opportunity is going to come to you sooner than later. Mark my words. And patience is an art that comes to you when you start recognizing that you need to let go of control, for which you have to address your fears, insecurities, and anxieties, right? Which I talk about in some of my programs, in some of my keynotes, and some of my workshops, because it brings out the ugly person in you, and start trusting in the divine timing of everything. The follower mindset comes from fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of stepping out of the norm. And when you break free from that ego driven emotion, which is fear, and you take responsibility for your choices, for your actions with integrity, you start shifting the focus from the external validation to the internal growth. That is when you become a leader of your life, a leader of your relationships, a leader of your people. Being a leader is becoming the main character in your life, is becoming the main character of your relationships. And it's not about being perfect, it's about showing up like you mean what you say all the time. Integrity. It's about showing up humble, accepting when you make a mistake, asking for feedback, and always seeking to improve. It's about making decisions that you can be proud of and you can tell your kids about, and you can go to sleep peacefully. Being a leader is having the courage to take in those small acts of bravery every day. That might be stepping up for your team, defending your team, sheltering them from information that does not benefit them, if possible. I want to give you a few ways to use this framework in a practical way. For example, if you're feeling overwhelmed, there's like a lot of things coming into your desk. You can use step one to identify what's not working. And then you can tap into step two to leverage your strengths, your inner and outer strengths, and ask for help or delegate what you can't. Even the smallest shift in perspective can create momentum and build confidence and easy flow of progress and delivering results. You can overcome inertia. When people are not being productive, you give them something to do. When you give an assignment to your team and nothing is happening, it's because they get stuck in the inertia. I remember one time I have given this project to very capable individual in my team. For some reason, he wasn't getting it done. And I had the foresight to understand that he was stuck in inertia. He didn't know how to take that first step. And so this is where determination comes. How do you take that first step, even if it's scary? And so what I told him is like, normally when I start doing these very complex spreadsheets that blow your mind when I present them, I start with a blank piece of paper and zero idea where I'm going, because I'm tapping into my creativity, into my innovation, with zero judgment of where it's going to take me. But it's taking that first step and breaking that inertia that makes the whole difference. At work, in professional settings, the chief framework helps leaders build clarity, build endurance, and foster innovation among their teams. I know this because I've seen it over and over and over again with my teams, with my teams, and with the teams of those leaders that I coach today. I don't know if you know, but I am in the process of writing my book, The Invincible Mindset. And it's going to be a roadmap for anyone, for every leader out there that is ready to shift their mindset, and full with real life stories in corporate settings and actionable steps to overcome the things that keep us stuck mostly. Would love for you to stay connected so you can be in the first ones to know when it's going to be launched. Even better, I would love to bring this workshop to your team or organization so you can become the leader in your heart you were meant to be, and deliver the results your organization is expecting from you. Best way to be connected is to follow me in LinkedIn at I am Carmen Paredes. I'll put the links in the description here. And until next episode, live intentionally.